very concrete.
Yes. Well, I want to get to your screenwriting credits, and I also want to talk about your latest book coming out, Altered, which
Yes,
is just, I can't wait to get my hands on it.
I
There's so
know.
many
I did bring
metaphors.
it. It's hot off the press here. Hot
Oh,
off the press. It just came out. I just got the cartons. We're having our book launch on Sunday. So thank God they came. Um,
well, that's such a metaphor. Honestly, we could go in so many different directions with that, with how we
yes.
move through our consciousness, what clothes we wear, what colors we choose.
Oh my gosh. It was the most amazing. I have been very, very, very lucky to be in a writers group for decades now. And, we have met once a month, bringing our different pieces and critiquing them. Members have changed, some have moved, some, sadly, one of the contributors to this died last month. Um, she was our founding and oldest member when I came in, but this was a crazy thing because we all write different things. None of us is in the same genre, I would say. But and I probably had done the most personal essay writing, I would say, although one woman had written a memoir also. But what we did was didn't have anything coming up, and one of our members was the professor of fashion design at a um, well regarded, first with Otis and then Woodbury, I think, out here, and she so she treated us to a Zoom, to a like PowerPoint of something, because she taught both in Cuba and in China. And she gave us like, these are the things that I've done with them. And the Cuba one was fascinating because during the Cuban oppression that took place, when Castro came in, everything became very monochrome. But underneath, the women began designing clothes with just brilliant colors and all the crazy weavings, and brought up into, their old, from their grandmothers and all of that. And we started talking about fashion as a kind of mirror of what's going on, either personally or in your life. And I was like, I don't know fashion. I don't know from fashion. But it turned into the meaning of pieces of clothing. And we decided as a prompt to each just write something. And I knew what I wanted to write about, which was this dress, which was when my mother died. My sister and I were going through her things. My father was like, please deal with that. And I found this dress in this bottom of this drawer. I don't want to give it away because the essay is all about this, but I just found this extraordinary dress with a note on it that it had belonged to my grandmother and that it was hand sewn for her in Cuba. And I loved my grandmother. My mother was a tough cookie. I loved her too, but she was very tough. She'd had a rough, my grandmother and my mother did not have the kind of relationship that my grandmother had with us. And my mom was affected by that, of course. Mm. So we were laughing. We all said when we all wrote these stories we found in our closets, 9 times out of 10, what we found in there were our mothers.
Yeah.
But in this case, it's very much about about a secret that I found out about my grandmother and this beautiful, beautiful dress. And it just turned into this incredible self-reflection on all of this. And the dress fit me, and I could put it on, and it was just like, it was extraordinary. And each of us, and then we wrote another one, and then we wrote another one, and we realized, oh, this is a thing. And not only is this something we can do and we can publish it as a group, maybe there are other writers groups or women's groups or whatever groups or men's groups where people can do the same thing, because it seems to be this universal thing. When I bring it up to someone, like I had this dress, I had a leather cowboy jacket that I lost, that I loved, that sort of connected with the other pieces of clothing that I lost, that I loved. And my understanding that we lose the things we love because we wear them. And when we wear them all the time, that's often when we lose them because we have loved them so much that they're gone because they're out there. The things I don't care about are very safe in my closet. And that fascinated me. You
Wow.
know, lost and found, and then coming to the point that maybe someone who found it the way I found it in a shop, in a what do you call it, a secondhand store, maybe somebody found that and got the same joy that I had. So it was just, that's the kind of thing these essays do. And we are so excited. And we called it Altered Stories We Found in Our Closets because these experiences changed us. I'll
Oh,
bet you have one. I'll bet you have a few.
I have to say, I got into this habit years ago where I would just, everything in my closet would go and I would start all over.
Interesting.
I know. And I would, and then a few years later, I'd think back, I wonder where that thing is that I really love so much. And I had already given it away.
Interesting.
It was almost as if there was this monastic part of me that said, you can't have possessions, you have to give everything away. And then I would start over again.
There's your essay because of that notion of what is non-attachment, what does attachment and non-attachment mean? And sometimes our commitment to being unattached is fundamental. It's like a fundamentalist point of view. It's so
Isn't
interesting.
it? Just
Yeah,
throw it all
yeah.
out and
My
start.
sister, my sister has that much more than I do. And it's fascinating because it's not that I hold on to a lot, but there are things I hold on to but you read, what is that wonderful woman who says, you touch each piece and you see if,
uh,
what does it bring up for you?
Endo and
Yeah. And I always laugh at that because like the thing I'm attached to are all my words and my stories. My poor little mausoleum downstairs of all the projects that never got off the ground, going back to the difficulty of screenwriting. And I just look, I was like, well, maybe one day. And some of them are like, no, they already did a movie and you didn't get to write it. Let it go. But I'm like, but I fell in love with them. And, somebody has to take
I'm
care.
so looking forward to getting my copy of Altered.
Yes, Altered Stories We Found in Our Closets. It's on Book Baby. The order the book, the hard copy is on Book Baby. Otherwise, you can get the ebook. It's currently on Amazon and it's going to be on others in about 30 days, but it's already now available on Book Baby. And I can't wait to hear. You have to email me and tell me what you think.
And it's a collaborative group.
Yes, we each have 3 or 4 essays in it. I have a couple of poems. Our resident poet, who's brilliant, has many more. The foreword, which in and of itself includes like a little tiny mini altered essay, is written by Katie Hendricks, Gay's wife, who is really a beautiful writer. And I had read a suite of her poems that I don't believe were published, but were on her website or on her somewhere. I found them somewhere, and about different rooms that had meaning, and it really reminded me of what we were doing with clothing. And I knew she loves very expressive, beautiful clothing, and has a whole philosophy around it. So I asked if she would write our foreword, and so that's worth the book right there. I mean, and she has a poem in there that's wonderful. So
Oh,
it's great. And we edited, the 5 of us that are still meeting every month, we meet at my friend Monique's house on Foothill Drive. So we call ourselves the Foothill 5. And I like it. It's kind of like,
that's great.
gunslingers. And so we wrote these essays and then we would work on them. And then we reached out to like 4 previous members, and they each contributed an essay, which we also edited. So there's 5 of us who are the editor authors, and then 4 contributing authors, plus Katie. And I'm really proud of it. I hope it inspires other people to do the same thing because we are of a very particular age range, culture, white, older women, semi to very privileged, whatever. And it would be so fascinating for me to see if there are groups from other cultures that would want to or different generations to see what they come up with, because you just find out so much about, we found out so much about each other that we didn't know based on these. It was extraordinary.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you, Tinker Lindsay, for being with us on Wisdom Keepers of Earth. It was really a great pleasure to have you. Thank you.
Thank you.